Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Rick Camacho, aka DJ Slix, and you're tuned in to KSSU Sacramento State Radio. Make sure you always be yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Bronte, your promo and events coordinator, and we're here for our alumni spotlight. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm Rick Camacho, aka DJ Slix, at Real DJ Slix on IG and all other platforms.
Awesome. And tell us a little bit about like your journey getting into radio, specifically at KSSU. And also you mentioned being like a hip hop fan, so a little bit of that and that involvement in your.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've come from the '90s era of KSSU, of radio. Myself, Thomas Triple Rose, bunch of other guys, Ebro, um, Doug, Antoine, Crazy Ballhead, a whole bunch of other. There's a whole bunch of us that were really deep into the music industry back in the '90s. I also worked at KSFM 102.5 as an on-air host and street team. I was the first street team guy for KSFM 102.5. So I was bouncing back and forth between KSFM and KSSU. And we had KSSU popping back in the '90s, and that's a '90s word. We use popping. So that tells you that I'm old, right? So, but yeah, um, my journey, we started in radio. And the way I started, I went up to name was Ricky Lee from KSFM. I was at a club one time and I told him, I said, "Hey, I want to do what you do." And he invited me up to KSFM and said, "Hey, come up here for an interview and we'll see where it goes." So it's funny, I dressed up like an interview, college kid with the interview, got on my suit and tie, and he lets me in the building. And I'm listening to the station on the way, and I can hear he's at Club 102. There's all kinds of people in the background, and all this stuff is happening. So I get up there, go into the station, and it's just him in some sweats. And I'm like, "Where's all the people at?" And he says, "They're right here on the cart." Right back then, we used carts as sound bites, and so and that's when I realized radio was theater of the mind, and I was like, "Wow, this is cool." He hired me, and ended up living with the DJ who was DJing that night, DJ Alvin D. We ended up being roommates, and then we all kind of got together and went to KSSU. Thomas was the first one there. He brought me on to KSSU, and at KSSU we had a lot of notable artists there. We used to do Thomas ran the Informer Hip Hop magazine, where he had ties and Tommy Boy, and so we all started promoting for big hip hop labels in Sacramento. So we were known as the Sacramento hip hop promoters, and we had KRS One come down. We had so many different artists. We would throw shows in what's called the student union now, the old school student union. We would throw KSSU shows back then, and it was a really good time for hip hop in Sacramento. And I would say we kind of started the bubble, made the bubble big. And then we went Black Market Records came on, and so many other Sacramento artists came on, Sibo and everybody. And so I would say we were kind of like the catalyst of hip hop in Sacramento back in the '90s.
That's awesome. And what was that energy like specifically in the 90s and like the college students at the time or the consumers of or the listeners of the radio station?
It was crazy because back then KSSU was 15:30 a.m. and you could only hear it on campus. You could only hear it in the dorms. Like you had to be on campus, you have to be tuned in to 15:30 a.m. and it would barely come in, right? And so we would get phone calls every now and then because we had the radio station. We had our funny thing is the radio station is so nice now. Um, and I'm not sure if the listeners of KSSU know this, because if you've been to Sac State, you go into the student union now. KSSU is right there in the corner, and it's huge. It's nice, back then KSSU used to be on the second floor of the library, tucked away. You go up the elevator, you turn left, and you turn left again, and it was two rooms tucked away in the back. And it was so small, but we always had the energy was so good. We had artists come up there all the time. They loved the radio station. They loved that we had our live turntables going. We would do live mixes. I was also production director. So I would do a lot of the promos. I would cut a lot of the voiceovers and a lot of the PSAs for the station. The energy was just crazy back then. Like everybody knew KSSU, even though you couldn't hear it. Everybody knew what KSSU was, and that was across the country because back then we were sending our playlists to all kinds of record labels across the country. Like Thomas had Tommy Boy Records, I had Wild Pitch Records. Um, we had we had so many different record labels that were reaching out to us every day, and we would just get flooded with vinyl, flooded with merch, flooded with T-shirts, and we just go out and we hand it out, and we would just it was all about guerrilla street promotions back then, and that's kind of how we all started.
That's really cool that how involved the radio station was with the music industry and like venues and record labels and the music community in general. And I feel like in 2020, I know like the radio station, everyone was remote, and then there was a pandemic. So I feel like the radio station was a little bit stagnant with like the audience. Like there wasn't really that listenership or that energy ever really again. But I feel like this year, or maybe in recent years, is the first time that we're kind of bringing back like the music community and
Right.
we're trying to get the radio station to be in like intertwined with the music community and the Sacramento like underground scene and everything. So that's great to hear, and it's like we want that energy again, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That energy was it was so awesome. Probably the best years of my life was in college, at KSSU and at KSFM together in street promotions. And not only that, because we were street promoters, we were in every record store because we had Tower Records over there on Broadway. We had so many different record stores in Sacramento, Little Things on K Street Mall. We had all kinds of outlets plus clubs. We would do clubs. The vibe back in the '90s was just crazy. You know, it's everything that your parents have told you about it. It was and more.
Yes. And then you also mentioned something about creating, is it the entertainment show or
Yeah, it was called the Edutainment Show.
entertainment?
Yeah. So my particular show was Hip Hop Edutainment, where I was, this was '90s. We were going through a lot of stuff in the '90s, similar to what we're going through right now, right? With this whole Trump thing and how the country was divided. So back in the '90s, we were the same way. And so I would play like the Poor Righteous Teachers. I would play KRS-One, Public Enemy. I was all about the edutainment, and it was back when Ice Cube was kind of militant, and so before he did have dinner with the president, right? So that was when he wasn't going to have dinner with the president back then. And so my show was called Edutainment, and I was a Chicano studies major at the time too. So I was really just educating through my shows, and that's what it was all about. It was all about showing another side of the music that wasn't about the negative side of stuff, right? So and that was the love of that's kind of like where I live now, with some of my mixes and stuff. I still live in the same thing. Listen to my mixes on Mixcloud, um, my Soul Kitchen Radio that I go. It's on YouTube, Baytown Video. So there's a lot of stuff that I still do, and I still have that love for the edutainment and educating through music.
Hmm. Absolutely. And a lot of the hip hop was is reflective of the time. And then you also mentioned listening to right Public Enemy, KRS-One, A Tribe Called Quest, like all of that. Um,
Yeah.
with that being like your sort of artist that you played, how would you compare what you listened to in college versus what you listen to now? Is it the same? Has it evolved?
It's obviously different, right? Back then in the '90s, we could dance to the music that we played, no matter what kind of hip hop it was. It had a good head nod to it. I'm currently a DJ now, where I DJ at Pittsburgh High School for for their football team, for the football games, and so I have to be in sync with the new music now. So I still stay in sync with the new music, um, and and I'm starting to find I'm trying to take myself away, take my mind away from like how parents think about this new music, right? And I'm more thinking like a musician, how a musician would think about it, and I'm starting to enjoy it, right? I listen to the Heat all the time to keep me going. Sirius XM, the Heat. I always keep in tune with with what's going on with a bunch of new artists that's out there right now. And and it's a different kind of vibe, but I'm getting it. I'm 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 feeling it and I'm playing it. So
And as a DJ, like you're DJing now, you have to curate, you have to like stay up to date with what, people are listening to. So that absolutely makes sense.
yeah,
How
yeah,
would
definitely.
how would you describe like the skills that you learned probably like live mixing, being a DJ in college with KSSU and your other stations, and how did you carry those skills into what you do today?
Well, once you learn it, you never forget it.
Mhm.
I've tried to get out of music a few times. And once you fall in love with music, there's no falling out of it. So I when I moved home from when I moved back to the Bay Area from Sacramento, I tried to get out a little bit, but I ended up going to KMEL 106.1. And there I was street team and doing stuff there. Started I was just busy all the time and I stayed in music. I couldn't get out of it. Um, but understanding how music works, listening to how a song breaks down. Now what I do is I believe every DJ should be a producer eventually. And so I produce some, I curate my own DJ packs for DJs where I'm taking a song, I could make it clean. I could put 8 bars at the front, 8 bars at the back, make it easy for DJs to mix into. And me and my DJ crew out here called Six Mix DJs from Vallejo, we all kind of do that together, and it's cool. So I think everything I've learned from the '90s, from DJ Alvin D, from just counting beats and mixing all the time, mixing without a sync button, it
I've
it
done
made me who I am now.
that
Yeah,
without the sync button, right?
without the sync button, right? We had to carry records into the venue with us. So
Exactly. And we recently had our physical media week, and we had everyone learn how to use the turntables, how to put in their CD for their shows. So we really believe in keeping that alive, and we're collecting records now. We're trying to build a collection. So we're trying to keep that alive. It's very important because you don't know
no.
what's going to happen in digital, you know? So
Mm-mm.
physical is forever, and you'll always have that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm 100% digital now, right? I mean, I DJ on my iPads, I DJ on my iPhone, I DJ on my laptop. I got two controllers. One I carry with me wherever I go. One for big parties, big weddings, and events. But another one I just keep with me to keep up my skills, right? And so, and every a true DJ should always have that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are mostly digital, but it's also good to like be educated on like both, right?
Definitely, definitely,
I love that. And then you're we're moving into 35 years at KSSU of student-run radio. So with us being a student-run radio for this long, what does that mean to you that we've been that we've been continuing the legacy, basically.
I watched the evolution when I first walked in. My daughter just graduated 2 semesters ago at Sac State, and so she was legacy to me, which I love. But when I first walked in and I saw the KSSU station in the student union, like my heart dropped. I was like, "Oh my God, this is beautiful!" Right? I love the legacy. I love that you guys are carrying it on. I love that you guys are still passionate about it, and I love that you guys are reaching out to us to keep that history moving. Um, KSSU was a huge start for me, and my love for music and my love for radio, and so it means so much that you guys are carrying on the legacy.
I love that. And a lot of our DJs are graduating, and a lot of them will go on to do whatever they majored in. A lot of us will try to work in the music industry. Do you have any advice for those who want to continue maybe being a DJ or working in the music industry after graduating?
So working in the music industry is tough, especially now. If you really want to be part of something, um, you know, terrestrial radio is dying, but it's not dead. So I would say this is what I did, and this is what I say you can do still. You can go to a radio station, you can spend some time on a street team, spend some time spend some time learning, meeting the people. It's radio and music business is all about networking, right? So and it's all about not burning bridges. So if you go and you get your foot in the door at a radio station, whether it's KSFM or 103.7, and don't stick to your genre, right? If you just like one certain genre, you're gonna you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot. Be open to all radio, all genres, and and just get in the door. And before you know it, you're going to be a music director. You be a promotions director. You could be a mixed show coordinator, and you want to learn what the back behind the curtains. Once you learn behind the curtains, then you're good to go. That's my advice for anybody who wants to get into the business.
Absolutely. I love that advice. Well, thank you so much.